Good day, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with Katerina Chernevskaya. Am I spelling your name
Yes,
correct? Okay.
exactly.
Who will be hosting an incredible workshop about Application Lifecycle Management, ALM, at Baltic Summit 2023, 29th of September in Gdynia, Poland. Thank you for joining us today. Please introduce yourself.
Yes. First of all, I would say a big thank you, Michael, for this marvelous opportunity, for having me today, and for allowing me to share my experience at Baltic Summit during ALM Workshop. Yes, let's start with introduction. So yeah, my name is Katerina Chernevskaya. Kate for friends, it's pretty easy. The tech industry has been my professional home for over 2 decades. My heart has always been with Microsoft technologies, always. In recent, I would say 7 years, I've been diving deeper into the low-code universe, working with Power Platform, Power Apps, Flow, that days, now we are knowing it like Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents as well, Power BI, and a little bit Power Pages. And last couple of years, blending them, these products with AI. I'm a tech geek, love to solve complicated tasks and share my knowledge with broad audience. For instance, I often speak at local Bulgarian events and at worldwide summits. I also have LinkedIn newsletter focused on Power Platform and AI, so subscribe me if you did not do this previously. Additionally, I regularly publish my samples, Power Platform samples on GitHub. And by the way, couple of these samples were featured to the Microsoft Adoption Sample Solution Gallery this year, which is super honored for me. What else? I have 2 cute cats and 2 incredible sons. My elder son recently passed his first PL 100 exam, and he's 14 years old last month. So that made me so proud. And who knows, maybe in the nearest future, he will be sharing the stage with me at Baltic Summit or such events. So, yeah.
Super exciting. Absolutely, super exciting. This is impressive, but let's talk about the workshop, actually, because this is the reason why we are meeting here. What is the core focus of your ALM workshop? Could you give us a nutshell explanation of what application lifecycle management is, and in the context of Power Platform and Dynamics 365?
Yeah, sure. Well, application lifecycle management is like a backbone of app development. ALM, application lifecycle management, covers the entire lifecycle of an application, from the initial stage, from the idea, requirements gathering, through development, testing, and ending in deployment, when we share with our end users applications, maintenance, and eventually retirement and replacement if we would like to replace our application, for example. Businesses, I would say, often struggle with uncoordinated app phases, and proper ALM can transform this mess into a streamlined, efficient process. Plus, in today's digital era, the proper adoption of ALM best practices is crucial for companies to remain agile and relevant. Now, some people might think that ALM is just for those who deal with a lot of code, like code-first application, and not for something like Power Platform. But that's not true, completely not true. Even in low-code platforms like Power Platform, ALM plays a huge role. It allows us to build the application rapidly, faster, and in organized way, ensuring that things don't go haywire. Additionally, I would say that it's worth to mention that the ALM is not just a checklist where you can tick in a few boxes and you've done. No, it's a little bit more complicated. And I believe that by adoption, various stages or levels of ALM can bring teams to thrive, can truly grow them and transform. Let's illustrate with a simple scenario like deployment. Yep. So you can deploy applications and flows separately. You create a flow and you can deploy to targeted, I don't know, environment or tenant. Or you can deploy components as a solution. Another variant, you can deploy manually, like export, store somewhere in your SharePoint or OneDrive folder, then import, etc. So manual process. Or you can automate deployment process. So these options illustrate different, I would say, levels of ALM maturity. And by the way, during our workshop, the parts of ALM that cover deployment and release is the main focus. So we will discover the difference between deploying an individual applications or flows versus consolidated solutions. We also explore the different tools that allows us to automate the deployment process. And of course, we will touch security topics to be sure that everybody after our workshop do everything in the secure boundaries.
Okay, sounds interesting, but sounds also complicating. So could you tell us who would be the ideal audience for this workshop? Are there any specific roles or backgrounds that would find this content particularly beneficial?
Yeah, I wish I could say that everybody is very welcome, but let's be more precise. So if you are into Power Platform, Dynamics 365, or just curious about managing apps better, you should join. We have created and designed the workshop with everyone in mind. For instance, developers will get tips on how to make their work better and how to keep things safe. Architects will really benefit from learning how to set up deployment process in a better way and smoother. So I would say that initial basic knowledge of Power Platform or Dynamics 365 is needed, because we are not going to talk about how to create application, but we will focus on how to deploy created components effectively. So you can come with your own application or solution, or you can use the sample solution that we will provide before our workshop will start.
Okay. So actually, this is for me because I'm an architect. So probably I can fit.
Yes, please join.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned about environments and solutions. Can you briefly explain the concept of those in the context of ALM? How do they impact the app development process?
Yes, sure. By the way, this is one of my favorite topics. So let's start with environments. Environments refer to isolated spaces where applications are developed, tested, and deployed. And it's very important, and I would say that it is crucial to split these areas. To exclude any issues and prevent situations when development activities can affect end user behavior or data. So environments, it's like a separate, isolated spaces. Now, solutions. Solutions are like containers that holds all components of an application. Imagine that, for example, you create a Canvas app application or model-driven application. Your application triggers a Power Automate workflow. Both are using connectors, and you might want to use some additional components of Power Platform like dataverse tables, chatbots, environment variables, and so on. You can put everything together like in one folder, and then proceed with this folder, like migrate this folder from one environment to another environment, instead of migrating separate pieces It's time consuming, it could lead to errors, etc. So solutions like containers or folders in our isolated spaces in environments. So both environments and solutions play a vital role in ALM. They can ensure that application components are appropriately managed and migrated without any unexpected hitches or issues.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And how about, because in the workshop description, there are pipelines in managed environments. Could you provide a beginner-friendly explanation of what pipelines are and how they contribute to the streamlined development?
Of course, sure. So you should think about pipelines as a conveyor belt that move your application from development to production to end user. Pipelines include all necessary steps that you would perform manually. For instance, like export solution from environment, store solutions somewhere. If you perform manually, you probably store in OneDrive folder. Also, pipelines include steps like import solution to target environment, even change any values in environment variables or connection references could be a part of pipelines. So pipelines can automate all these tasks and make the deployment process smoothly, faster, secure, and you can avoid any manual errors.
Okay. And I have found also something about Azure DevOps, and it sounds intriguing. Could you break down what it is, and why participants should be excited or to explore its capabilities during the workshop?
Yes, sure. So Azure DevOps, in my opinion, is a goldmine for developers. Remember how we talked that ALM is a backbone of app development, and we should take care about managing a whole life cycle from start to finish. Well, Azure DevOps gives us the tool to do just that. For instance, in our workshop where we go deeper in deployment process, Azure DevOps is a trusty tool, allows us to automate import solutions, store code in the Azure DevOps repository, export solution, whatever we need to targeted environments, and so on. Besides that, Azure DevOps includes other cool features, and we touch these features additionally to equip our members to be sure that in the real work, if they need something like tests or task management, they know where to find these components in Azure DevOps. So in nutshell, Azure DevOps is like our magic stick, making the entire application lifecycle process smoother and more, I would say, collaborative for everyone that involved in this process.
Okay, I'm looking forward to see it. I hope I
Okay.
can be I can be on your workshop. But anyway, in the description of the workshop, also it is mentioned term service principal account. And it might be new to some people. Could you simplify or what it is and why it is important to enhancing security and efficiency in ILM process?
All right, yes. Let's dive into the world of service principal account. Let me make some simplification. So imagine that you are at a concert and there is a special door only for the band members. Instead of showing their ID every time, they have a special pass that lets them in. A service principal account is like this special pass for your applications in Azure. In the context of our ALM discussion, where we are maintaining and managing the whole life of application from its birth to its retirement, it's super important that certain tasks happen smoothly and in the security boundaries. The service principal account lets our applications like Azure DevOps access resources that they need without constantly asking the username and password, for example. Let's imagine that we need to export a solution and store its code in the repository. So I have an environment, and I have my instance of Azure DevOps, where I have a code repository. To make this happen, I need to establish a connection between Azure DevOps and my environment. I can establish this connection like a bridge using my credentials or using service principal account. In the first scenario, if I'm using my credential, if something happens with my account, for instance, I can change password, or even I can leave the company, and in this case, my account will be blocked or deleted. That will lead to fails, to issues in this process when Azure DevOps, in this case, Azure DevOps won't be able to connect to environment. With service principal account, this negative scenario couldn't happen. So in simple words, imagine a service principal account as a unique passport for application to access specific resources that they need according to the process, without any unnecessary stops like require username and password, but also ensuring that only the right application with the right path, like permissions, gets access to these resources. And during our workshop, we will set up this service principal account. We will talk about why it's secure and how we can be sure that it's really secure. And we are going to use service principal account in our pipelines.
Okay. Yeah, I can relate to this because I was working in the IT operations for many, many years. And in IT operations, where you are dealing with the infrastructure, you very often use some kind of a service accounts, which, for example, the password never expires, and the accounts are limited to some specific infrastructure elements. So I think this is the same or similar.
Yeah. And we will talk what is the difference between service principal account and like normal account that we have. But let's leave to workshop.
Yeah, definitely. We have also in the description of the workshop, we have some kind of an streamlining updates. And it sounds like a valuable skill. Could you give us a brief example of what kind of updates this segment covers and how it benefits attendees?
Yeah, got it. Let's dive in. So streamlining updates, it's like a small puzzle piece that makes a huge difference. Let me illustrate it. So imagine, again, you are developing application in a development environment. Let's say Canvas app application, and this Canvas app application connected to SharePoint. You decided to put connection to SharePoint path into environment variable. Additionally, let's assume that this Power Apps application triggers a Power Automate flow. And this flow sends message, let's say via Microsoft Teams. So in your solution, in your folder, you will have 4 components. Power Apps application, right? What else? Environment variable, where you store this path to SharePoint, Power Automate workflow, and connection reference, because you are using SharePoint, because you are using Teams, let's say 5, because 2 connection references. Once you have done with your solution, your application is ready, your workflow is ready, you would like to migrate this solution from your development environment to UAT environment for testing purposes, right? If you proceed manually, you will see a dedicated special window where you can change values of the environment variable and set up connection references. You know that on different environments, we have different metadata of connection references, and probably you will have different paths for environment variable for a SharePoint. If you proceed manually, everything is straightforward and no questions. But if you are going to automate deployment process, you won't see this dedicated special window because you just press button and everything is doing for you using pre-configured pipeline. And here's a main question comes. How to update the value of environment variable and connection references in a more mature ALM area when we automate deployment. And so this section is about it. During our workshop, we will learn how to create a special file that collects all necessary settings and how to use this file in our pipeline. So attendances will be equipped not only with knowledge of fundamental automation steps, but also with advanced strategies to elevate their ALM game.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen those manual steps, and I was wondering how can we automate it? So it is very interesting.
Yeah.
What about the continuous integration and continuous deployment? It can sound complex to someone. How will beginners grasp a concept or in the context of Dataverse for Teams through your workshop?
Absolutely, yeah. CI/CD may look scary, especially for beginners, but let's simplify it. Okay, imagine you are making a puzzle. Continuous integration, or CI, it is like making sure that every new pieces that you add to the table fits perfectly with all other pieces that already are on this table. If it does not, you know immediately and can fix it. So continuous integration is about frequently adding and checking new parts of work. Now, imagine that you have done with your puzzle. Your puzzle is ready and you want to show it to other people, to your family, friends, colleagues, so on. Continuous deployment, or CD, is like taking that completed puzzle and quickly show it to your friends, to your audience. And at the same time, ensuring that you show always the best, the latest version that you made. And now with Dataverse for Teams, it might be additionally trickier because when you're creating something in Dataverse for Teams, it is not so obviously how to find environment and prepare a solution to automate this deployment process. Because in the Power Apps Studio, where we normally switch between environment, you won't see Dataverse for Teams environment in the drop-down list. But do not worry, during our workshop, we will use simple examples and hands-on activities, labs, to explain what is CI/CD and also to demystify steps for Dataverse for Teams. So we are going to show how to find environments, how to create solution for Dataverse for Teams, and how to automate deployment for solutions in Dataverse for Teams as well.
Super. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to see it. Okay, but anyway, could you provide a snapshot of how participants will interact with the tools you are introducing, such as Azure DevOps and Power Automate?
Yes. So I have a great answer here, because everything that we are going to learn during our workshop is free for use or have the trial version. We prepared some prerequisites. We are going to talk a little bit later about them. But these free for use products or trial version that you can simply sign in for is a great option to start learning. So you can use your existing tenant, but in this case, I would say that you should be sure that your activities during workshop should not affect any sensitive data if it is your working tenant. I would suggest to prepare your another dedicated tenant where you can have your experiments and train yourself with using different features, and do not worry about any sensitive data. Also, I would say that we will start our workshop, we will start our day with checking that everything is in place, tools, permissions, etc. And of course, we have a plan B, a dedicated tenant with about 20 accounts. So remember, about 20 accounts, not more. We can share these accounts during workshop with members who don't have their own tenant or experience any issues in their tenant. And for sure, for this workshop, we will prepare detailed instructions, detailed labs with screenshots. So do not worry if you would like to prepare something and repeat some parts later on. These labs will be for you after workshop as well, without any expire date.
This is great. Accept a computer regarding the requirements to participate in the workshop. Accept a computer and tenant, development tenant. What else do we need?
Yes, so it is very important that you mentioned that people who are joining our workshop should have their own laptop, because it's no way to do all stuff just with mobile phone. I had in my experience that people joining workshop with mobile phone. No, I would say no, laptop is the must. Yes, dedicated tenant as well. And by the way, we prepared a list of prerequisites, and I published this list of prerequisites to my GitHub, and you can find the link on the Baltic Summit page website in the section that described our workshop. So you can just tick boxes that I've done this, I get my laptop, etc., etc. One important thing that I would like to mention in terms of prerequisites, that we would like to ask you to prepare your Azure DevOps organization. Do not scare, everything is okay. In our prerequisites, we provide detailed step-by-step instruction how you can create it. No specific license are needed. And only one reason why we ask you to do this is because it is a crucial part that in your Azure DevOps organization, the feature that calls parallelism should be enabled. And sometime when you create a fresh new Azure DevOps organization, this parallelism is disabled. In our prerequisite file, link you can find in Baltic Summit web page, you can find everything: how to set up your Azure DevOps organization, how to check that parallelism is enabled, and also, if not, you will find a link where you can request a free tier of parallelism. It takes approximately 2 working days when your request will be accepted. Your request will definitely be accepted, no way they will reject it, but we need to wait 2 working days. As we have just 1 day for our workshop, that's why we ask you in advance to prepare your Azure DevOps organization, and if necessary, request this parallelism, and you will be equipped. By the way, if you have any questions or experience any troubles or not sure that you prepare everything, do not hesitate to ping me via LinkedIn, and we will go together through all these steps and prepare you to workshop. So just ping me. Oh, and regarding prerequisites, I have one main requirement. You should come ready to learn and have fun. Your energy, enthusiasm, and your question will be icing on the cake.
Okay, definitely. If I will be participating, I will come with this. But I'm also a procrastinator. It means that I'm doing things on the last moment. So at least 2 days before is enough time, or better 3 days or maybe a week before?
Well, I would say it's better in advance. But in my practice, 2 days it's maximum time that Microsoft, 2 working days. Remember, 2 working days that Microsoft provide this free tier to your tenant. When you see this interview, just go to the Baltic Summit webpage, check the list of prerequisites, create your Azure DevOps organization, and if necessary, just send a request. And if needed, ping me via LinkedIn.
Yes, and if you sign up for this workshop, probably we will be in touch. We will send you some kind of a reminder before the workshop. Probably, it is
nice.
good idea. It is good idea to send a reminder to participants. Okay, Katerina, thank you very much for sharing a glimpse of your workshop and your insights. We can't wait to have you at the Baltic Summit 2023 in September. And what else can we say?
I can't wait to meet all of you too. And just maybe something that I can share, like last words. I would like everyone to remember this, that ALM is not just a technical process. It's a transformative approach of application development. Embracing ALM is not a one-time event. It's an evolving journey. So stay proactive, learn continuously, and always aim to enhance your processes and approaches. So see you at the end of September. Prepare your questions, prepare your tenant, prepare your Azure DevOps organizations, and let's have fun and learn together.
Super, very exciting. I cannot wait. Thank you very much.